Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. This is August 14th of the year 2023, Empire State of Baseball for episode number 57, airing on Twitch, X, or Twitter, whatever you like to call it, YouTube, and powered by StreamYard. We're officially at the halfway point of August now. We're in the dog days of summer, as I like to say. NFL preseason is in full swing. NFL season not too far off. But forget about NFL. We still got a baseball season. It doesn't seem like it these days because baseball in New York has seemed over a long time ago. It has been a very rough couple of weeks for the Yankees and the Mets, especially the Mets. But guys, how you all feeling on this Monday evening today?
Yeah, depressed. The Mets had an extremely rough weekend series with the Braves, and until they won that last game yesterday, they just looked like they could care less about playing. The Braves walked all over them. They scored 3 runs in garbage time and lost a doubleheader where it was just ugly. I don't know how any fans actually went to the stadium this weekend to watch that garbage, but they did. And again, it just no pride, no effort. It was a depressing weekend if you're a Mets fan.
Yeah, not a lot better if you're a Yankee fan. Yankees had the series in hand Sunday, and then just a series of unfortunate events leads to them finding a new way to have the worst loss of the season. Clay Holmes, I felt like he didn't even pitch like horrible. Like the ball hit back to him. If he just fields that, there was just missed opportunities. It's the story of this Yankee season. It's just blown opportunities, sloppy play, loss, heartbreaking.
It was bad. It is bad. And as I said on the River Ave Rewind yesterday, dagger in the Yankee season. And I know we'll get into it in a little bit to truly determine if that was it. If the goose is certainly cooked in the Bronx. But after that loss, Tom, it's so hard for this team to look forward into the future. And their future is in Atlanta against the Braves, only the best team in baseball. So not looking forward to what this series has in full. Although I saw the Yankees did put up a 2 spot, but the Braves got it right back. It's 4-2 Braves in the bottom of the second inning. Corey Fabs, what we got on the lineup today?
Well, for tonight's show, we'll get more into Mets and Yankees as we go into the Empire Express, and there will be a lot of negative talk, I'm sure, for both New York teams. We'll then transition to Chooch's pick of the week, where we can see if Chooch can improve upon his surprisingly better record coming off a nice win most recently. So he's 3-5-1 the Chooch on the season. Let's see if we can build on that. 3 up and 3 down, one of our segments where we'll talk about the confidence in the team. You know, who we think is on fire, what's the least confident position or player we have, and what's the most improved since we last did that segment right around Memorial Day weekend. And then we're going to wrap it up with our game core curriculum. Our good buddy Core is back for the curriculum this evening, so always a fun time when he's on the show.
My apologies, Corey, for sandbagging you on the read today, because I did some research on Chooch's pick of the week, and he actually has a completely different record from what we have. But we'll get into that once we get to Chooch's pick of the week.
Sure,
Empire Express, though, all aboard. Let's talk about this disastrous train known as New York baseball.
Can we just skip it?
Oh,
I mean, we're Empire State of Baseball. We'd be doing injustice if we didn't talk about these teams. So
let's
start
like one
with
of
the
those
Mets.
bullet trains, though, where like you get to hear from there in like 4 minutes, and then we just.
I wish I could jump in front of that bullet train, because that's exactly what these New York teams are about to drive me to do. But with the Mets here, let's talk New York Metropolitan Baseball. Corey and Joe, they're coming off a 3-1 series loss to the Braves, but I don't think anybody expected anything different. The Braves are just playing on another level. I don't think that's not really a bad reflection of the Mets. The Braves are just damn good. The Yankees about to find that out right now. And you look at their record, 53-60. 53-65. Yeah, that's right. Holy crap. 53-65. This team is now 22 and a half games back at the NL East. Playoff aspirations are lost, but I have to ask you guys before we dive into my own team. Is there any goals that Met fans should set for themselves when watching these next 2 months of New York Mets baseball? Is there anything to look forward to as we try to wrap up the season?
Listen, let me tell you, the only thing I could look forward to, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I'm going to the game tomorrow night. And this was a game that I picked months ago because it's Edwin Diaz bobblehead, and supposedly he actually signed a bunch of them too. They're probably just trying to get a bunch of people in the door. So maybe if I'm there early enough, we can get our hands on a signed Edwin Diaz one. We'll see if we're lucky. Also get to try out. I've never done it before. I think the name of the restaurant's changed a few times, but have reservations. I believe it's now the Porsche Club. I don't even know, Metropolitan Grill it was at one point. But if you're looking down the left field line, Citi Field, it's the restaurant that's behind the glass right on the field. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying that out tomorrow. So leaving work a little early, going with my buddy Jay and a few other of his friends to go.
Porsche Grill.
Porsche Grill, yep. So that name has changed so many times, but it's the Porsche Grill. Looking forward to trying that out. Hopefully get my Edwin Diaz bobblehead. But I got to tell you what, Mets baseball right now has been so uninspiring, and you might have not seen a lot of Mets minutes from me, but guess what? This is probably the second game I'm going to watch since the trade deadline. I've had zero interest in watching this ball club. Yeah, it's been absolutely terrible. And even as a podcast host, I hate to admit it, I have not watched this ball club. I watched it one game after the deadline, and it was such a sorry excuse of baseball that I've decided I'd rather watch the grass grow than waste 3 hours on a Met game.
Yeah, the main goal for Met fans for the rest of the year is to not break your TV or anything in your house, getting upset at them. The fact of the matter is the Mets came into this weekend with a chance to at least show a little bit of pride, show a little bit of fight, and give the Braves at least a hard time on their way. Listen, the Braves are a powerhouse, and you don't expect to win. And when you look at the two teams, there's just about no positions where the Mets outclass the Braves in left on the field, except maybe shortstop. And it's completely evident in the fact that they just got bullied around and dragged around the field. The Braves looked like they were playing a spring training game against a college team. I mean, that was the bottom line. And the Mets, just the lack of pride, the lack of guts, the lack of toughness that they have showed since the deadline is just astounding to me. They've rolled over and died every chance they had this year. They front office warned them multiple times and said, if we don't turn this around, we're not going to end this season by buying players or anything like that. The players didn't turn it around. The team, the front office did what was best for the team for the long-term goal of the organization by selling players that were on expiring deals. And how have the Mets responded? By rolling over and dying. They have not said, you know what, we're going to prove you wrong. We're going to show you why you shouldn't have done that and actually play some decent baseball. They've played worse. And the problem now is the Mets now look like what the 2011 and 2013 and 2014 Mets look like with Albert Almora or Almonte out there and all these random guys who haven't been on a major league field for any consistent amount of time in their careers, and all 30-plus-year-olds. This isn't a team that you want to root for. This isn't a team you're interested in. That Beatty's in the minors, Marucio's still in the minors. You don't have that much to worry about for next year because half the players are going to be back. The other half are not. And you're not really seeing, except for Alvarez, any of your prospects developing at the major league level. So there's just not much to watch as a Met fan.
Exactly, because some of these names that we're hearing, like Rafael Ortega, I mean, that's a guy, all right, I obviously know who Rafael Ortega is, but I had no idea he was even on the roster until I heard his name get announced while I was driving home a week or two ago, and his name came on the radio. I'm like, when did the Mets get Ortega? There are some guys that they're announcing, Aruz? Who's Aruz? I never even heard of the guy before. He's playing second base. Meanwhile, our top prospect in AAA is dying to come up to the majors and play second base. Meanwhile, we got guys I never even heard of until I saw their name in the lineup. I'm like, who is this guy? I don't even remember him with the club in spring training. I don't know when they got him. I don't even know if it's another player and they just put a fake name on his back because I don't know the man.
It is a direct result too of the trade deadline. The Mets did move a lot of pieces, especially on the offensive side. You do have to fill up those roster spots for guys that just have a pulse. And I know there's some players not ready to knock on the door of the major league level, but you got that to look forward to when those certain minor league players like the Ronnie Mauricios show up. One thing I look at when I look at the Mets schedule coming up is a stretch between September 18th through September 31st. Now, September 30th, September 18th to October 1st. Now, we all know the Mets are not going to be vying for a playoff spot by this point, but what they can do is play spoiler to division rivals because they play the Marlins, the Phillies, all road and home games. At that point, the Mets can look at it as, hey, this is their World Series. They have a chance to play spoiler and ruin a division rival's chances to go into the playoffs. That might perk your interest as a Met fan or even just any fan of a team that's out of it, but watching a crosstown rival or division rival try to make it into the playoffs, have a chance to knock them out. It'd be cool. But that's just me. Tom, anything on your side?
I mean, other than some of the reason why I'm sure some of the prospects aren't coming up, which is some of the reason the Yankees prospects aren't coming up, is service time manipulation. And I'm sure part of the reason Mauricio is not up is because it'll start his clock, and then that will hurt him in future years for the front office. Same reason why the Yankees haven't probably brought up Everson Pereira at this point to play left field, because we'd rather start Billy McKinney.
Well, no, I mean, see that to me, I don't think that's a factor because
why would it not be a factor?
Because they're at the point, if they bring him up this year, they don't lose a year of service time.
But he's still like, you start the clock starts, and then
you still have 6 full seasons of him. So even if you bring him up now, you still have those 6 seasons. It's not like if you bring him up first thing in April, yeah, you lose that. But that's if you bring him up.
I think it's still I think there's still a factor in of.
I don't think that's it. I think the Mets just genuinely don't think that Mauricio is ready. I also think they're trying to turn Mauricio into a utility player in his case. Beatty's getting a refresher in the minors. He's hit well since he's gotten sent down to the minors. He needed a mental break. But Mauricio, I honestly think it's a defensive thing. I think they want him to be able to play multiple positions at a decent level, and he's just not at that milestone yet.
All right, flipping it to the other side of town with the New York Yankees, as we mentioned in the open, roughest loss of the season. And I was thinking back on the season on maybe if there was a tougher one. I think back on that 6-0 advantage the Yankees had over the Rays at the Trop that Gerrit Cole was on the mound for, and they gave up that lead and eventual victory. I think about the Domingo Germán game where he was cruising into the 9th inning, taken out I think he was on 74 pitches, and then Yankees end up losing that game. This was the worst. This was by far the worst game of the season, especially at this point of the year when the Yankees are trying to mount anything together. At this point, I truly think all is lost, and I do think this team is maybe not official, but they're on the precipice of joining the Mets on the sidelines and watching teams lap them get into the postseason. So,
yeah,
Tom,
obviously, if the Yankees, won 10 or 12 games, would they be right back in it? Yeah, they would be. Are they capable of doing that? No, they're not.
No.
They stink.
No, they're not. They stink.
So, on paper, it was the worst loss of the season, but as that snowball sort of rolling down the field, down the hill, I already knew what happened. It didn't hurt me like those other losses. Other ones, there was still hope. There was still feeling this team really could do something. And at this point, there isn't. So I actually walked away and kind of listened to it from the other room and was just like, well, I know it's going to happen. I don't need to watch this. And it's where we're at this point. The team is just it's disappointing.
5
season.
games back of wild card 3 on August 14th. I that tells me they're out of it. I mean that is big ground to catch up when other teams are trying to make.
Listen, it is technically, again, you could get back in it because you're playing. I know you have more games against Toronto and Boston, but they have to show some pulse to to think, hey, we can go into Boston and sweep them. I don't think that. I mean, they couldn't go into Williamsport and sweep some of these little league teams at this point. It doesn't matter. It's done.
I think it was And Joe, I'm going to toss it to you. I think it was Brandon Tierney who said the other day, and I found this insulting. He was like, the Yankees right now are playing like a double-A team. And I'm like, that's very insulting to the Somerset Patriots, who are clearly a better team than the New York Yankees right now. But Joe, go ahead. What do you got on this team?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Mets earlier in the year, where it's like you see a game or two that they play well, and then you run into Alcantara, who throws a complete game against you, and then you blow a save that you were up in the game, and your closer blows four.
It wasn't even a save. It wasn't even a save situation.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's very reminiscent of what the Mets were going through early in the year in June, where it's like, okay, I could see where we can get back on track here, but every single time that they have an opportunity, you lose a game that everybody would say, okay, you got beat by Alcantara, like you chalk that up. But the next game where you have a game you should have won and you blow, those are the backbreakers. You know what I mean? Like if you lose games that are toss-ups, you lose games to the other ace, like you shake it off and go on. But when you lose a game that you're in firm control of, that you have set yourself up in the way that you want to set yourself up, and then proceed to lose the series because of it, those are the backbreakers. Those are the ones that are hard to recover from. This is the game in particular. The Yankees have had a lot of weird ebbs and flows of the season. This is the first time where this is a signature loss. This is
Joe, especially when this team has struggled to do what throughout the season? Score runs. Yeah. And what did they do? They scored runs. They put up 7 runs on the board with the race on the mound. That's a game you cannot lose, no matter who you're playing. Yeah. No matter who you're playing. And I got to hear from an interview with Aaron Judge saying, "Oh, yeah, I got to tip my cap to him. Good team." I'm sorry, that's not the comments I want to hear. Your team blew it.
That's the Yankee messaging. It's just how it is. If you can't even get mad at Judge for saying that, because the Yankees, the players, the coaches, everyone, they get sent a script and they say these are the things you're going to say, and these are this is how we want you to act, and that's Judge is just following orders from Hal.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, this is the thing too. When it's a bad team, and the Mets are perfect victims of this as well. When you're a bad team, you find ways to lose. Just like if you're a good team, you find ways to win. When you're a very good team and you have a bad offensive night, what happens? Maybe you get one key hit in addition to great pitching. Losing teams, perfect example. You have a game where the offense has been your weak point recently. You're scoring 7 runs. And then what happens? Your bullpen absolutely implodes at the end of that game. And you lose the game. You actually scored runs. And the Mets did that all the time as well. And Joe was saying it a little earlier. It's like you take 1 step forward, but then you take 2 steps back. And I think about the Mets right before the All-Star break, where they were still in it at that time, and the fan base was starting to get a little more energized. They had a very nice week. They had a chance to really go on a nice stretch into the All-Star break. And what did they do? They end up dropping the last 2 before the break. It completely deflated and popped the balloon. And any positive momentum you had building into that week off is completely gone. And the same thing with the Yankees right now, too. All right, you could have won the series. You didn't win the series, all right? And it's just the same thing. Every time you think you're taking a step forward, you're taking 2 steps back. And when you're trying to get ahead in the standings here, because like you said, Rich, it's getting a little late in the season to make up that much ground with this many teams. There's still a month and a half of baseball. That's a lot of time for baseball. But when you're constantly shooting yourself in the foot and losing a game in the standings a week, it's very, very hard to then all of a sudden make up that 5-game difference if you're continuously losing a game a week. That's making it very difficult.
If the Yankees plan on being a 90-win team this year, which is, out of the American League East, you have a good chance of being a playoff team, even with, 4-5 teams all in it. The Yankees got to go 30-14 for the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
They're not doing it. Joe, what do you got? I know you had something on your mind over there.
I gotta ask, because I saw this being discussed in Yankees Twitterverse today. There's this idea going around that because the Yankees are having a down year and a bad year, which is very, very rare for the Yankees, that somehow the Yankees are wasting Cole and Judge's prime. Like, you guys don't actually believe that, do you? And saw a huge amount of Yankees Twitter agreeing with that notion. You guys have been to playoffs 6 times with Aaron Judge, 6 playoff series with Aaron Judge. Cole's participated in 5, and he's been here 3 years.
Listen, Joe, here's the deal.
Come on.
At Yankee Stadium, we don't hang division banners or wild card banners or yippee doo, we made it to the ALCS. They hang AL pennants and World Series pennants. And that is the mark that Yankee fans hold this team to.
Hold on a second.
No, I will not hold on a second.
No. I'm glad you brought that up because when I criticize Gerrit Cole for blowing a wild card game to the Red Sox or not showing up against the Astros, you're like, oh, well, he pitched well against Cleveland. But when I tell you that the Yankees have had their 2 biggest horses in the biggest playoff series of the years, you're like, oh, we don't care about the playoffs. We only care about World Series. Well, listen, Aaron Judge hit 063 against Houston last year. You want to talk about wasting his prime? He's the prime suspect. He's
not
the most wanted poster.
The team got swept. Aaron Judge didn't get swept. The whole team was bad. Aaron Judge could have played on fire and they still would have gotten swept.
Nobody else produced. You could say, they wasted his prime. Look at how great of a series he had. He did nothing. 0, zilch.
And this is where, and again, I don't want to, lump Corey into this because I think, Corey's a stand-up guy, but there's just certain Met fans that just get so much joy out of the Yankees losing. And don't understand.
You guys are out of your minds. This isn't Trout and Ohtani. These guys have been to the playoffs and failed in the playoffs. That's not wasting their prime. It's they didn't produce in the playoffs when they had their chances.
That's not the bar. Making the playoffs is not the goal. It's not the bar.
And I will say, though, if we're going to talk about it, I know Judge and Cole, they're the topic of conversation with wasting prime. And that's because it's in, the New York market. That's the conversation. But there really is no definition of wasted talent more so than Mike Trout. I mean, I'm sorry. We want to talk about waste of talent. Mike Trout has been in the major league since 2011? And the Angels haven't won a playoff series. They've been to the playoffs once, and that was back in 2014. They got swept. They haven't won a playoff game 9 years ago. The last time, you want to talk about wasted talent, the last time the Angels won a playoff game, the team leader in WAR that season was Sean Figgins. Sean Figgins was the last.
That is a big difference.
Yeah,
that's a big difference.
That's big. And I'm going to actually criticize my team a little bit here, too. You want to talk about wasted talent, and it's a shame with the injuries. Jacob deGrom, the last few years when he was actually healthy, was putting up numbers that were historic numbers. And what did the Mets do with Jacob deGrom? All right, you made it to the World Series 1 year, 2016. He didn't even pitch. He lost 1 wild card game. Last year, they actually won the game that he pitched, but they couldn't win the series. So the Mets actually wasted his talent more than the Yankees wasted Cole and Judge. I actually do. I somewhat agree with Joe here because from a Yankee standpoint, they are making the playoffs. You're not winning. I understand the point of winning. At the end of the day, winning a World Series matters more than anything else, but at least they're competitive.
Yeah, and I think, Corey, this is going to be my soft rebuttal to Joe here on the question. It all depends on how you interpret it, because the Yankees organization philosophy over these last 20-something years has been World Series or bust, and that's what they tell the fans. So when you get to the playoffs and get knocked out in the first or second round, that's not really the expectation of the fans. That's the organization's philosophy. So in a way, yes, the organization is wasting the prime years of the 2 best players on the team because they're not following their organizational philosophy, Joe. And for other teams like the Angels, they look at making the playoffs as a success. That's how I interpret the question. It's hard to pick it up, but I see your point because the way Jake worded it might not have been good. I know you're referencing Talking Jake from Talking Yanks. But when the organization's putting out there, it's World Series or bust, and the team with Cole and Judge have not made it to the World Series. Haven't even sniffed the World Series.
If you're talking in a Yankee vacuum and you're saying,
correct,
are we wasting 2 great players by not properly constructing the roster. Yes,
And in a Yankee
That
vacuum,
was
yes.
the question. They
on
play
the
for the
MLB
Yankees.
But on the
So
MLB
yes, you're wasting
stage,
their
you're not
primes.
wasting from an MLB overall perspective. They're a far
I don't give a
more
shit about the other 29 teams. I don't care.
Family
you
show.
You can't turn around and say we wasted their prime because
Yeah,
we
we can.
just didn't win. We got there. We wasted the opportunity of winning
because the standard is higher.
I'm sorry. I think it's poorly worded, and I think the idea that these guys haven't, but these guys have had their shot. It's not like they haven't had their shot. That's my.
They haven't. Listen, they've had the shot, but there was a really good article that I know probably a lot of Yankee fans read. Rich, I don't know if you did over. I think it was over the weekend from CBS Sports of just kind of like the 5 reasons and like the roadmap to how we got to where we are, and it starts in 2017, and it starts with the Yankees making that run to the ALCS and then cutting $30 million in payroll while adding Stanton's contract somehow. And just the decline and just the decisions that they've made that have led to where they are. And that's what it's about. They've made, it's not a 2023 issue. This has been compounded year over year. You are wasting a guy who might win the Cy Young this year and a guy who was the MVP last year. You are wasting their primes by having a poorly constructed roster, by having a poorly put together front office, and by not capitalizing on these 2 great talents.
And what's
it's sorry, Corey.
And I have to say just one more argument when it comes to a championship versus a winning season. Because I'm going to throw, again, going to non-New York sports teams right now, I'm going to throw 2 teams out there, and we could do a little bit of a comparison because this is where it gets interesting. And I normally say, well, at the end of the day, championships are all that matters. But if we take 2 teams, we're going to take the Kansas City Royals and we're going to take the LA Dodgers, and we're going to look at the last decade. The LA Dodgers have made the playoffs every single season in this last decade. Every single season for a decade straight, they've won 1 World Series. The Royals have been there, once, twice, and they've won 1 World Series. Right. So we can do that comparison, and you can't tell me that the Royals are a more successful team than the LA Dodgers. The LA Dodgers haven't had a losing record. I know that's the whole thing with the Yankees too. And with the Dodgers, their 1 World Series was in the asterisk season, the COVID crapshoot year where it was basically the NBA where you get a participation trophy which earns you a wild card spot. So it's interesting debate too, because I definitely see Tom's point about wanting to win the World Series. That's the standard you want to set. Totally agree. But when you do the comparison too, getting to the playoffs, anything can happen because this LA Dodgers team, if baseball was purely based off the favorite, who's the favorite to win? The Dodgers would have 5, 6, 7 World Series in the last decade. But once you get to the playoffs, anything could happen. Anything could happen. No one expected the Royals to win it in 2015. And sure enough, they ended up doing it. So just a little comparison I want to give out there because that's a perfect example. 1 team that won a World Series, 1 team that won a World Series, but the track record over the decade completely different.
And you can insert the Nationals as well for 2019 as well. It's the one World Series appearance they had, and it turned out being successful. So let's move on. We're going to get into, although we just lost Corey for a second, thank God. We're going to get into Choocher's Pick of the Week. But before we get there, Tom, tell our fans about Instagram and what we got going on there.
Sure. Yeah, you should make sure to give us a follow at Empire State of Baseball on Instagram. Corey does a really good job of posting some kind of fun videos on there, and
great job.
Great job. Frankly, lately a lot of just poking fun out of our own teams because they're both sad. And but there used to be happy moments. We have some of the recaps on there where occasionally we'll go live with games that matter. So we won't be going live for the rest of the year because New York baseball doesn't matter anymore. But definitely give us a follow for some more fun stuff. Also our games and that sort of stuff. You can follow us individually if you would like at Corey Favs, at JR Pugs, at Rich J Rivera, and at T Waspel on Instagram.
There you go, Thomas. Way to sell him on the Instagram with that brilliant job and so much energy and passion for our New York baseball team.
Well, you can blame the Yankees for that.
All right, next time you're doing the Twitter promo. All righty.
Sure.
Chooch's pick of the week. And now for Chooch, I have to apologize because I went back and I was looking at Chooch's games and all his selections that he had made, and there must have been some kind of miscalculation because I went back and it turns out Chooch has a winning record. He's actually 6-4. So
I would like to see that.
No,
I don't think that's
sure, because now unfortunately Chooch wasn't able to submit a video, but I do have his pick, and this is the fancy schmancy graphic that we got up here with Chooch's pick of 2023, and you can see he does have a winning record. He's 6-4, but his pick is the Phillies and the Blue Jays in this one. The Phillies and the Jays got a big set coming up. Both teams vying for wild card spots in their respective leagues. But for Matt, Chooch went about picking the Philadelphia Phillies back to back. So he got lucky with the Phillies over the Marlins last week. So he's going to try to find that same luck between the Phillies and the Marlins, Phillies and the Blue Jays rather, this week. So what do you guys got coming up for this series? You got Phillies at Toronto. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I like Toronto in this series. I think the Phillies need a little bit of a cooler. They've been hot in the second half of the season, much like the run that they've gone on last year. They didn't start quite as far back in terms of being out of the playoff hunt at the All-Star break this year than they were last year, or when they fired Girardi, I should say. But Toronto's in a dogfight. Seattle's come out of nowhere. They're in a dogfight for that last for a wild card spot, and they're going to be highly motivated. Whereas I think that some of the NL has kind of fallen off. I think the Phillies are in a much more secure spot than the Blue Jays are. So I'm going to go with the Blue Jays 2 out of 3 here.
Yeah, this series definitely is a little more, important for both teams, don't get me wrong, but a little more important to the Blue Jays for exactly what Joe said. Right now, Phillies are wild card 1 in the NL. Blue Jays are wild card 3 in the AL. Both teams 6-4 in their last 10, so it's not like one team's red hot and the other one's ice cold. So definitely a great series. I hope Toronto sweeps just because I hate Philly. So I hope Chooch loses this one. Let's go Toronto.
You can give me the Phils here because why not?
Because you're a Yankee fan and you want the Blue Jays to lose.
Sure, good enough reason.
Blue Jays taking the set. I actually have the Blue Jays sweeping the Phillies. I think they're gonna make a big statement this week. Jays over Phils there. I mean, the only non-favorable matchup right now is today's matchup between Zach Wheeler and Yusei Kikuchi, but even Kikuchi's turned it on lately. Gosman, who's going to be vying for a Cy Young this year, he's up against Aaron Nola tomorrow. Pivotal for our fantasy set this week there, Joe. And then Michael Lorenzen. Actually, Lorenzen, where is Michael Lorenzen? Oh, he's got the Phillies. He's got the Nationals, rather. All right, I take that back. I got it all screwed up. My probables are all messed up. So, don't mind me. But I got the Blue Jays. In this one. Let's go Jays. And for Chooch, maybe he'll improve to 7-4. Let's see if his pick of the Phillies locks in.
I need.
Listen, I have the chart right there.
You have the chart that you made that we don't know.
And I had a study.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that May 2nd race.
Bro, I took like 37 minutes.
Wait,
find all these videos.
Time out.
What?
I don't know.
That first one, the Yankees Mets. Why is one green, one red? What?
Because that week he did 2 picks. He did the Yankees winning the series. He did the Mets winning the series.
Oh, okay.
He won on the Yankees. He lost on the Mets. So those picks are the picks that he tried to lock in. 7-10 is the National League All-Stars and the Adolis Garcia trying to win the Home Run Derby. He hit on the National League, lost on Adolis Garcia. So there's your key right there. He's 6-4. So whatever we had before, what was it, 3-5-1, Corey?
I don't remember
Incorrect.
that Padres set.
Incorrect.
Still would have been for him.
He's 6-4, and he's about to be 7-4 or 6-5. We're gonna find out next week. All righty. Let's move on to 3 up, 3 down. We do have a lot of show left here on Twitch, and hey, make sure to shoot that link over to your friends and family and whoever wants to come down and watch some four guys talk baseball here, give us a follow and subscribe to Empire State of Baseball on Twitch. Our live stream can be found on our link tree via the bios of both Instagram and X/Twitter. At Empire State of Baseball Instagram, at ESB Podcast for Twitter. Alrighty, now 3 up, 3 down. Let's get into it. So it's been a while since we did one of these. Actually, since Memorial Day weekend was the last time we did a 3 up, 3 down, which is our confidence rankings on the Yanks and Mets. So let's not waste any further time. Corey, which player or position do you hold at most confidence on the New York Mets at this point in the season?
I am going to go with a pitcher, and literally the only pitcher right now as a Met fan you could probably say you have confidence in, but I'm giving a shout here to Kodai Senga. I said it earlier this season that he was pitching as if he was the best man in that rotation, even when Scherzer and Verlander were there. Kodai Senga seemed to be the only pitcher that was somewhat consistent. His biggest issue at the start of the season seemed to be the durability and continuing to go every fifth day, and he was doing better on 6 days as opposed to 5 days. But Senga seems to have really settled in. I'm looking forward to him being at the top of that rotation next season. And if it wasn't for the the red hot start by Corbin Carroll, and Corbin Carroll, I'm going to get to him in a moment too, because he's cooled off dramatically. Kodai Senga could really be making a case for the National League Rookie of the Year. And it's a shame that Corbin Carroll started out so hot, because Kodai Senga has been absolutely great. 9-6 with a 3.30 ERA, not bad at all. Fun to watch. Again, we talk about with the New York Mets, there's not a lot of excitement with this team. I physically enjoy watching Kodai Senga pitch. I wish he was pitching when I go to the game tomorrow, because I love watching him on the mound, that ghost fork, watching him work. He seems to genuinely enjoy the game too. Seems like a great guy. And Corbin Carroll, listen, right now, everyone's going to say he's still the undisputed person to be the NL Rookie of the Year. I just checked live odds. One site has a minus 3,000. But look at Corbin Carroll. He hasn't hit a home run since July 23rd. His average has dipped 13 points since that game. He really hasn't done anything. And you want to know what? That's a big reason why this Diamondbacks team is now back to 500. The Diamondbacks at one point were leading the NL West. And I didn't think they were going to win the NL West this year, but I did think they were going to make a wild card last month. Now that's looks like a struggle. And a lot of it's because of Corbin Carroll's struggles in the second half. I could see if Corbin Carroll trends down and finishes off ice cold the last 2 months of the year, and Kodai Senga continues to do the same or better, why can't Kodai Senga be the NL Rookie of the Year? He is my most confident player at this moment for the Mets.
Yeah, mine's going to be Francisco Lindor. At the end of the day, Lindor's been a rock for the Mets. He's the best shortstop in the National League. He'd be one of the best shortstops in all of baseball if Corey Seager wasn't having just an absolutely bonkers year. He is there every single day. He plays Gold Glove caliber defense. I actually think he is going to win the Gold Glove at shortstop in the NL this year. That's how good he's been on a consistent basis. Listen, would I like a little bit more average? Sure. But at the end of the day, he leads all NL shortstops in home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, slugging percentage, the works. So for me, it's Lindor. I have to be the most confident in him. He's going to be here for another 8 years or so. So for me, he's my most confident piece for the Mets.
Thomas, flip it onto the crosstown side. Most confident in the Yankees, which player position?
I'm just going to speak for both of us and say it's Garrett Cole, because I don't think anyone else on the team deserves to be the most confident. So,
sure.
It's Garrett Cole. He's at this point the favorite to win the AL Cy Young. He's been really good this year. He showed up, and the team has just constantly let him down, which is really frustrating. But hopefully, I guess that's the one thing the Yankee fans could get some kind of satisfaction at the end of this year is, hey, at least Cole could, maybe win a Cy Young, and that might bring at least some excitement to watching, something to watch for these next 6 weeks.
I second that. I think if I had to throw in a B, because I don't want to be boring, I'm actually going to go with a player who's not really even considered a starting player on the team, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, because he's the model of consistency. And he's been able to fill out so many different roles for this team. He does all the little things. You got exactly. The Yankees, listen, that Yankees trade last year with Kiner-Falefa and Josh Donaldson was horrible. But the Yankees got exactly the player that IKF was, which is a scrappy contact hitter that can fill in a bunch of positions. He's hitting 253 following a season which he hit 261, 270, 280. Yeah, he's trending down in that sense, but he's still a contact hitter. He's still coming up in
It's
big
more pop
spots with
this
his
year,
team,
too.
clutch spots. He's
So
filling
PS
out different
fire.
roles. I love what I'm getting at IKF. I hate to see
Yeah.
him go. I don't think the Yankees going to re-sign him, but that's my position of most confidence outside of Garrett Cole right now. Corey, moving over to you. Now, which position or player has most improved since the last time we did these rankings, which dates back to, I would say, Memorial Day and the spring? What do you got?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the catching spot with Francisco Alvarez, because if we remember at the very beginning of the season with Navarez and Nito, and whenever Nito would play, he was terrible. And Nito was always known for his defense over the offense, but even defensively, he did not look good. And then Francisco Alvarez, if you remember, like the first 2 or 3 weeks he was with the big league club after Navarez went on the IL, he was barely playing. Buck played him once or twice a week, and he looked horrible in the brief time that he was getting. Finally, Buck started to play him a little more consistently, and we saw the numbers start to get consistently better for Francisco Alvarez. Alvarez right now is exactly what you asked for with being a top prospect. He's come up, and once he got consistent playing time, he's delivered. When the Mets did have some hot stretches this year, like that stretch right before the All-Star break, like that stretch, if you remember, back in June where they had a couple of dramatic wins versus the Rays and the Cleveland Guardians, Alvarez was a big piece of that puzzle. He's had a lot of clutch hits. So definitely comparing the catcher position the first month or two of the season compared to we are right now, light years improvement. I'm going to go with Francisco Alvarez.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Kodai Senga on this one. I remember when he first came here, there was a little bit of an expectation for him. The first few starts were kind of up and down. His walk rate has dropped tremendously since the first half of the year. He's kind of locked himself in. He's shown drastic improvement, much more consistent start to start. So for me, it's Kodai Senga. Just simply because he needed a little bit of time to adapt to the MLB and the way we play over here versus what they play in Japan. I saw an interesting thing in one of his last starts that they play all dome games in Japan. That alone is a huge difference for pitchers when they come over here than playing outdoors, playing in several different climates, probably in the same given month. So for him, that to me, I've seen the most improvement in his game just from a consistency standpoint, reducing the walk rate and getting himself in a rhythm here in the U.S. where you can kind of rely on him every day in and day out. Whereas the first half of the year, you kind of saw the up and down, the good start, bad start thing.
Tom, most improved for the Yanks.
Not a good day to do this, but I'm gonna say Clark Schmidt, even though he's gotten absolutely dominated by the Braves today. But yeah, I mean, Clark Schmidt has been really, really, really good for the better part of the last 3 months. He had a very shaky start. I think he had a very long streak of not allowing more than 3 runs. I think he might have brought that into today, and boy, did the Braves end that for him. But still, listen, the Braves are the best team in baseball, and they do that to a lot of guys. Clark Schmidt has looked good, and he's another piece that maybe you could, if you're looking towards the 2024 season, say, listen, he's a guy that you can have some confidence in the, more that second half of the rotation, but it's something to watch.
I'm going to say Gleyber Torres, and I know we've gone back and forth several times on Gleyber Torres on this pod. I wanted him out of New York at one point. Still kind of do. I still don't think the Yankees should be re-signing this player moving forward. I do think he's going to, be a nice piece to trade in a future deal. But for what he's worth, I mean, Gleyber stayed on the field. He's been the most consistent hitter on the team. He's had a few hot flashes where he just can't seem to get out. Even though looking at his last month, he's over 300. He's got an on-base percentage of 357, leading the team in RBIs. I'm going Gleyber Torres here because he's just one of those players I'm so back and forth on. But as far as improvement goes, Gleyber is the guy from an offense perspective. Corey, question number 3. Which player or position do you have the least confidence in on the New York Mets?
Well, I said before Kodai Senga was my most confident, and it is the rest of the starting rotation that is my least confident. And listen, I could read off some very, very ugly stats for the rest of the Mets rotation. Outside of Quintana, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't had a win since he came back, and he's only had 5 starts since he came off the IL, but he actually has a 3.03 ERA. So Quintana, not bad. You get that out of your 5th starter every day, you're in great shape. So Quintana gets a little bit of a pass. But the rest of that rotation, I mean, Carlos Carrasco, you're a great guy. I'm sure you're awesome to hang out with the clubhouse. Great story. I'm very happy he's healthy now after everything he went through earlier in his career. But he is no longer a major league pitcher. I mean, he has a 6.40 ERA this season, and he's pitched pretty much the whole season, hasn't missed many games. He's a big reason why this team is where it is, because he is absolutely dreadful. Hate to watch him, and he's a consistent bear when we do our Bull Bear ranking. Same thing with Luis Severino. They're like on the same page with each other. Tylor Megill. This was a guy who's had some potential in the past. Well, he's got a 5.64 ERA, and I went and I watched him out in LA versus the Dodgers when he was in the rotation in the first half of the year, and he got smacked around by the Dodgers in LA. David Peterson, is he a bullpen arm? Is he a starting pitcher? Is he in AAA or he's in the majors? I don't know what to expect out of this man anymore. 5.61 ERA, so I'm not expecting him to win ball games right now. That's all I know. So the rest of the rotation right now is dreadful. This is the biggest question mark going into next season, because the only guys who really are locks to be in that rotation are Senga and Quintana. Everybody else is a question mark. I have no idea what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to spend money, make trades, do something, because the rotation is dreadful.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the bullpen on this one. Listen, I reiterate what Corey said about the rotation, but there are slivers of hope in there. Peterson has pitched better ever since he got out of the bullpen. I actually think Tylor Megill should be moved to the bullpen, because when he pitches short outings, he has an uptick in velocity. He can hit 99. I think he could actually theoretically be a weapon out of the bullpen. If he comes in, throws one in, and touches 100 from time to time, I think it's an idea that the Mets should start to think about with him. Peterson, you get a little confidence in, but the rest of the bullpen, it is feast or famine. You do not know what kind of night you're getting out of Ottavino. You don't know what kind of night you're getting out of Smith. Gott's only been here a little bit. I don't know what he's going to bring on a daily basis. It is an absolute mess out there in the bullpen. Good news is Edwin Diaz is going to be back next year and provide an anchor in the back of that bullpen. But at the end of the day, there are not a lot of arms that I'm confident in out there. I'd be nervous every time I call for a guy's name, every time I step out in the field if I'm Buck Showalter.
Tom, least confident on the Yankees, and I really don't think we should have different answers here.
Oh, I'm going outside the box, and I'm saying Hal, because I have no confidence that he's going to make the changes that this team and this organization needs. There was a story out this weekend that it sounds like Boone's probably going to get scapegoated. Again, I don't think Boone is manager of the year, but I don't think all these issues for this team really fall on him. I think as I've said before, has been now almost half a decade of just compounding problems. And Hal will bring Cashman back. He'll bring back everyone in Cashman's team, and the Yankees will continue to have the same problems that they've been having.
All right, I'll stay on the field then for this one. That was a good pick. But I got to go with the absolute worst pitcher in all of baseball, and that is Luis Severino. He's a 4-time Bear of the Week on our New York Strike Exchange. I didn't even think that was going to be possible. Luis Severino couldn't pitch a tent. He is awful. Awful.
My question is, why are they still starting him? I get the.
Well, now they have no choice. They have no arms left. They have no arms left, Joe. Randy Vasquez is gonna grab some innings. Johnny Brito, I'm sure, is gonna grab some innings. But you have to open up a spot to somebody, and unfortunately, it's gonna be Severino.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's game.
You have a better shot.
I don't know.
AAA career AAA guy coming up and starting in. I mean, that's just
got to make a 40-man move though, probably in that case. And
but cut him. He's so bad. He's an automatic. You're not going
to do that. That's not how the Yankees operate. The Yankees don't cut.
He's a free agent. He's a free agent. There's nothing to say. It's not like Hicks where you had 4 years on the back end that you got to pay him for nothing. That's have nothing.
The Yankees don't treat veterans that way, and they're not going to treat a guy who's been with the organization. Yes, he is. He's been with the team since 2016. He's a veteran. He's a guy who's been with the organization. Yeah, he's been with the organization for probably almost a decade. They're not just gonna
almost 15 years.
Listen, yeah, you don't treat people that way. They're the Yankees.
What are you
There's a
talking
lot of
about?
issues.
This is baseball.
No,
This is
Joe,
you
listen,
gotta
Joe.
win games.
Joe,
He's been horrible. He's the
shut
worst
up.
pitcher in baseball. Don't tell me you're gonna keep him on the roster because you don't treat people that way. That's
Listen,
the most
the Yankees
ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Joe.
That's absurd.
Joe, if you ever listen to any of your takes, then I don't know how you can say that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard.
Phantom IL would be the easiest solution.
That's the way to do it.
The Yankees, one of the big
it's,
reasons the Yankees got rid of Hicks when they did is because they knew he'd get picked up. The Yankees are an organization, and I just said how I have no faith in their front office, but they're an organization that does not, quote unquote, mistreat veteran players. They don't embarrass them by cutting them. And these types of they will hold on to them. They'll trade them. They'll move them. They know if they drop Severino right now, there is no one picking him up, and he is just going to be left out there. And he's a guy who's been with the because he's a guy who's been with the organization for so long.
But that doesn't matter. He's playing.
It does matter. It does matter, Joe, because that's how you
matter. It's an unserious. If you're making a roster decision because he's been here for 15 years, when he is the worst player at his position,
it matters because around the league, Joe. Just because you talk the loudest doesn't mean your points make sense. It matters because
how does that not make sense? He's the worst pitcher.
And then he talks louder. It's amazing how he talks louder. Now his whole thing is shaking.
It
matters.
Fact.
You're telling
me it's not
right. Can we mute Joe? Can we mute Joe?
He's terrible at it.
I think he's about to mute himself. He's about to blow out the audio on his own microphone.
Guy's gonna have a stroke, Joe. I feel bad. I'm worried.
Holy crap!
It matters because the Yankees, that's
the biggest crock of garbage I've ever
heard. I'll be honest. I might leave
because
I'm trying to make a point here, and Joe won't shut up.
It's an
it matters. It matters. Because
they're losing games, their life is on the line.
I'm serious.
All right,
Joe, if you don't shut the F up, I'm walking off. I'm not even screaming.
All right. I got. Let's get it back under control here.
That's a joke of a comment. That's a joke.
You don't. It matters.
It doesn't matter.
Jesus.
It shouldn't matter. He's a free agent. You got to pay him.
Shut up!
Anyway.
Holy shit! Shut up!
Make a decent point.
Talk.
Make a decent point.
I'm trying to make a point
in 2 seconds.
Shut the fuck up!
All righty.
Here's why it matters. The Yankees are an organization, for better or worse, that is looked at. They don't treat veteran players in a way that they're going to throw them to the curb. So it matters because for future guys who might want to sign. They look at the Yankees as an organization that isn't going to cut loose on them and just send them out. They will stand by their guy. They'll trade you. And in the Hicks situation, they cut him knowing that he would get picked up somewhere. They're not going to take a guy. How do you think other players look around and they say a guy?
We're talking about. You think other players would be upset that they cut a guy with the worst ERA in all of baseball? During a playoff?
How do you think other players would look at a team who have a guy in Luis Severino who has been up and down, but has been a model citizen? He's not been a guy has gotten himself in any kind of trouble. He's been a good teammate from all accounts. That they're just because that's fine. Phantom IL is fine too. Rich, that's fine too. But you're
trying to win ball games.
They're not at this point. They're not a serious team anyway, so they're not trying to win ball games.
And actually,
they're clearly not trying because Severino's going tomorrow against the Braves, which I think is just so ill-advised.
And I do have a point to actually with Tom here, and whether or not I agree with Severino being dropped, different story. But I know there's been a lot of arguments made about the Mets shouldn't cut Billy Epler because then who else will want a job here in New York? And that's kind of the point Tom's making.
That's kind of the point. How many look at the Verlander trashing the Mets on his way out? How many guys trashed the Yankees on their way out?
Verlander didn't trash the Mets.
You didn't trash. No, Serger. You got Serger.
I thought whatever.
Well, Verlander said the analytics was terrible.
Yeah. So he trashed the front office with that, and Scherzer also did. You see, people don't leave the Yankees. They don't say those things. Because they are treated with respect. Because they're Yankee players, their front office, even though they make a lot of terrible decisions and terrible job putting a roster together, they do treat guys with respect, and that does reverberate through the league, and that is why you have better chance of just having a better reputation throughout the league than from a team that might just cut people and just send them off on their way, not knowing what's going to happen next with them.
Cutting the
does
worst
matter
player in the league does not affect your ability to sign or your perception of how you treat players. That is it's the most absurd thing I've ever said.
A guy
the argument's very simple. We cut Severino because he was
if
completely
Severino
if
Severino was on a 1-year deal, I would agree with you. But he's been a guy who's been with the organization for so long. What's the point? What do you get for cutting Severino? What do you
get somebody who is an automatic loss off your team every time he pitches.
The Yankees are an automatic loss at this point anyway.
But it doesn't. It shows the unseriousness.
I'm ready to.
All right,
move on.
all right. We got to move here. It's 8:55. We do have core waiting on core curriculum. Before we get there, though, I do want to remind you guys to give us a follow on Twitter. Actually, Joe, what we got going on with Twitter? Well, X now.
Well, X, we are airing live on X. We have over 20, I think we're at 2,200 followers now at ESB Podcast. You can follow Corey at G Gory, myself at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Waspel on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can follow us on there and get updates as we watch the games and more.
Without further ado, let's bring in Core for core curriculum. Core, thanks for your patience, man. Appreciate that.
No problem. It was entertaining to say the least.
Well, at least if we could bring that, I guess that is a win at the end of the day. Core, I know you have a couple of multi-answer questions for today around two studly players, one of the Central, another of the NL East. So let's get that first question in there. What we got?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So Jose Ramirez is one of 4 players in baseball history to collect 300 doubles, 200 homers, and 180 stolen bases by their age 30 season. Who are the other 3 players?
Bonds.
He is one.
Griffey.
Nope.
Andrew Jones.
Nope.
Willie Mays.
Nope.
Ooh.
Mickey Mantle.
Nope.
No.
Really?
Mickey Mantle didn't have as many steals as you thought he did.
Beltran was an easy one.
Carlos Beltran?
No.
Well, what about Jimmy Rollins?
Nope.
Who are the 3?
By their age 30. Huh.
These last 2 guys played the same position.
Alex Rodriguez.
That's the second one.
Nomar Garcia-Parra.
That was me.
I don't know. I think I got
No,
the A out there before you said.
We'll check the replay, Tom. But I think that was me.
I don't think it was.
We'll check the replay.
Cal Ripken.
Nope.
Gary Sheffield.
Nope.
He didn't play shortstop.
It's Ernie Banks.
Nope.
No.
Did he play shortstop? Because A-Rod played more than
third base too.
Oh, okay. I was just going
With
by
3 third basemen on here.
Mike Schmidt.
No.
Robin Yount.
Bases.
I think he actually was a shortstop too.
So he's saying it is a third baseman that we're looking at here.
It's not David Wright.
It is David Wright.
Oh.
Ooh.
David Wright, 180
What
stolen
could have been?
bases.
Yeah, David Wright had a 30-30 season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That is shocking to me.
Hmm.
Good for him.
And then he
Wright
had
was
another
a
third
Hall of
baseman
Famer
that's up
before he
there?
got hurt.
Yeah.
Wait,
Ironically, probably 3 guys that aren't going to make the Hall of Fame either.
we got them all. I thought.
We got them all.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, they won't make
3
Hall of
Yankees
Fame. Yeah.
probably won't make the Hall of
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, so it was Bonds, A-Rod, and David Wright. Wow. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Again, we'll have to look at the replay there, Tom. I think I did get that A-Rod in there before you, but we'll check.
I think
we'll
I
check.
got the A in first.
I'm not going to argue with you. All right, now Francisco Alvarez question. What do we got here, Core?
So Francisco Alvarez is one of 13 players who have hit 16 or more homers in their first 63 games prior to turning age 22. Can you name 3 of the remaining 12 players? The
Gary
first
San-
person to name 3 will win.
Gary
the
Sanchez.
question. Incorrect.
What?
Nope.
Sanchez was probably 24 by the time he came up.
Oh yeah, the Yankees.
Griffey.
Nope.
Mickey Mantle.
Nope.
What?
Mm-hmm.
16 home runs the first. Ralph Kiner.
Andre Jones.
Juan Soto. Acuna.
Nope. Nope.
What?
There's probably some randoms on here that come in, blitz the league, and never heard from again.
Wait a minute.
At least the list that
16 home
I pulled-
runs
Yeah.
in their first 60. Oh, their first. Okay, so it has to be in the first. I thought it was just before 20. I was like,
60.
Bryce-
You have to do
Bryce
it before
Harper.
60, within 63. Your first 63 games prior to the age 22.
Bryce Harper.
No.
Yasiel Puig.
Nope.
he would came over later.
There's
Ryan
a couple
Howard.
Hall of Famers on this list. Who is this?
I said Ryan Howard, but I think he came up too late.
Came up very late. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Started turning 22. Okay. Gary came up when he was 22, so that's why.
Mike Schmidt.
No.
Mark
Damn.
McGwire.
So no one's hit one?
Wow.
Oh God.
Mark McGwire.
All right.
Andrew Jones.
No.
Wow. I'm
These are
trying to think of
historically
guys
young
that
people.
just
Vlad
came up-
Jr.
No.
It's not David Wright.
No, it's no David Wright.
I had to say him again. Because he came up when he was 21, but didn't have the
There's
Pete Alonso.
Glaber Torres.
no. There is a different
Mike
Yankee
Trout.
on this list. No.
a different what core?
Different Yankee.
Aaron Judge.
Mm-mm.
Oh. Jeter.
No.
A different
You
Yankee.
said
Bernie
not-
Williams.
You said not Mantle.
No.
Melky Cabrera.
He didn't do it with the Yankees, but he has worn a Yankee uniform.
A-Rod.
No.
Jay Buhner.
No.
It wasn't Bernie?
No. No Bernie.
Wow, this is tough.
Damn.
We've got nothing. Joe DiMaggio.
No.
Well, I'm glad we're not naming all 12.
Yeah.
Holy
What,
crap.
what about Vlad Jr.?
We already
No.
guessed it.
Oh, I'm so lost now.
What about Vlad Sr.?
No.
Oh
Think-
my
think-
god. All right.
A couple of these are.
I think at this
Rookie of
rate,
the
if anybody
Years.
gets
There's
one,
future
you
Hall
win.
of Famers on this list. Think about recent NL Rookie of the Years. That should get you two.
Ryan Braun.
Buster Posey.
No.
Prince Fielder.
No.
Recent
Joey Votto?
No.
rookies of the
Let me
year.
make sure this fact is
Jonathan.
actually.
Cody Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger is one.
Oh,
We got We're on the board.
Bellinger's one.
Chris Bryant.
And who?
Chris Bryant.
No, ignore the two. It was just one.
Okay.
It was just one NL Rookie of the Year in recent.
Willie
memory.
Mays.
Austin
No.
Riley.
Oh, sorry. Willie Mays is correct. Sorry.
Bang.
Ooh.
We got 1 and 1.
Austin
Aaron.
Riley.
No. And if you want to go with the NL Rookie of the Year hint, if you think back within the last 20 years, there's another one on here.
What about Darryl Strawberry?
Ooh.
No.
Larry Walker.
Troy Tulowitzki.
No to both.
Dante Bichette.
No.
Hanley Ramirez.
No.
Damn, we're Pujols. I don't know when he came up.
Pujols is one, so now we're
Oh,
all tied.
Yeah, there we
you
go.
That was
All right,
the
there's
NL
the
Rookie of the
three.
Year.
On the
Yep.
board.
Matt Kemp.
No. There are other MVP winners on this list though.
Reggie Jackson.
Nope.
Harmon Killebrew.
No.
Jay Bruce.
Ladies and gentlemen, special end time tonight, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. 10
Yeah.
o'clock
Oh, we
p.m.
got
I
three.
think whoever gets the two
We got three.
wins.
Yeah. We
Whoever
got 3 total. I was trying to do whoever gets 3 by themselves, but this is proving more difficult.
Julio
than I
Rodriguez.
thought.
All right.
Julio, no.
I think we're all at one, right? I think no or
Yeah.
Okay.
Next
Are we
one
on
wins.
one? I don't think Joe got one. I didn't have Joe down for one.
I didn't get one. No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
So
so
next
we're
one to
a
get it between me,
collective
Corey, and
3.
Tom, or unless Joe pulls off 2.
Nah.
Let's see how quick
um,
Joe's Google hands work. You're in the
Is
lead anyway,
there-
Joe. I think you can
I
sit
really
this one
think
out.
that Yankee Clue is a dead giveaway. Didn't do it with the Yankees, but has worn the pinstripes.
Mark Teixeira
No.
didn't do it with the Yankees, so it's got to be
Gary
him.
Sheffield, Bobby
No.
Abreu,
Guessed him. Guessed.
A-Rod,
What the
Tino
hell?
Martinez.
Oh,
Right.
Stan.
Stanton. Yep.
Let's go.
There we go. Well
All
done.
right.
Let's
Well
go.
done, Richard. I think, yeah.
Holy
I think
crap.
Just
give
call
Rich
it. You want me
point.
to read the rest of the list?
Sure.
Go for it.
Good point.
Fernando Tatis Jr., Miguel Cabrera, Adam Dunn, Jose Canseco, Bob Horner,
I almost said Canseco.
Frank Robinson, Eddie Matthews,
Oh, man.
and Mel Ott. Those were the remaining ones.
How you doing?
Okay.
We left some
All
meat
right,
on the
this is
bone.
why Core does what he does. He's got all these trivia stumpers, and that was another tough one. Core, thank you for not making us name all 12 of those players. But that was something else. And again, thank you once again for joining us here on Empire State of Baseball. We'll see you in about a month.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Alrighty. Take care, Core.
Yeah, Corey.
All right, let's start to wind this thing down. Before we get there, Corey, what do we got on YouTube?
Yeah, go ahead, download that YouTube app. We're now airing live on YouTube as of a few months back. So download YouTube. You can watch us live, or you can watch any episode or any clips that we post, any shorts, whatever it may be. Empire State of Baseball. Like, share, and subscribe. But again,
Yes,
it was
sir.
definitely a little longer show today, an emotional show. We got a little heated there. So thank you to all who came in. Thank you to Core. Very fun Core curriculum segment as always. Some great debates there. Had some action in the chat as well. So thank you everyone to listen in. Episode 58 will be airing as per usual schedule next Monday, August 21st at 8 p.m. EST. But a little bit of a roundtable before we close it out. Joe, who'd like to thank anyone tonight?
No, I'm good.
I like to thank my daughter for not waking up as I had to yell at over Joe.
And I want to thank you guys all for joining us today. Core for giving us those great trivia questions, and
Good one today.
and no thank you to the Yankees for making our lives miserable right now. Corey Fabs, let's wrap this thing up, man.
Yep, let's go ahead. Let's wrap this up. My final thank you goes to the New York Jets bringing in Dalvin Cook, so we don't have to rush Breece Hall. But once again, thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. This was another episode of Empire State of Baseball, and we will see you all next week. Take care, everybody.